Here we are on page 2. So we want to find the value of x and then state the theorem or the postulate that we used in order to figure out what x is. Well, here we have a 90-degree angle. Okay, and then it's made up of 2 angles. So if 2 angles add up to 90 degrees, what do we have? We have complementary angles. Oops, whoa. Oh man. Complementary. Okay, so if we know that, then we have here, we'll take our first angle, x, plus, here's our second one, and these 2 angles are going to add up to 90 degrees. So we're going to set them equal to it. Then we want to combine like terms. Okay, so we're going to combine these together since they're like. So we have 4x equals 90. And then we want to divide by 4 because we want to figure out what x is. That's what we're looking for. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. So x is going to equal 22.5. Now, how did I get there? This is the whole reason. This is everything that we've been doing. So I know that x is there, but why did I get there? If 2 angles are complementary, then they add up to 90. Add to 90 down here. There we go. Okay, so everything you do, I want you guys to talk to yourselves out loud. Keep thinking about what am I doing and how am I getting there. All right, so 15 and 16, we want to find the value of x and y if A and B are parallel. Key phrase right here. If we have parallel lines, what can we state? What can we conclude? What do we know? We know a lot. So let's figure this out. If A is parallel to B, here's my little parallel signs. Okay, I want to figure out x. Well, what do we notice about 118 and our x? Okay, what are those locations? They're corresponding. Okay, corresponding angles are congruent. So x is going to equal 118 degrees. And my reason is if, and again, these are if-then statements. If parallel lines, if I have parallel lines, I can conclude corresponding angles are congruent. Okay, and then I want to figure out my y. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, well, what's this location here? What's going on there? What do I know? Well, hey, I know that vertical angles are congruent. So if they are congruent, they are the same. If x is 118, then y has to be 118 degrees. All right, let's move on to number 16. Again, A and B are parallel. I know A and B are parallel. If they are parallel, if I have parallel lines, what do I know? So I know right away, I know I'm going to start with if parallel lines, then what can I conclude? Okay, so I'm looking at, we have angle 72 and y. Well, what is this kind of special angle here? Okay, those are consecutive interior angles. So if I have parallel lines, I know consecutive interior angles are going to be supplementary. If they're supplementary, they're going to add up and equal 180 degrees. So I have 72 plus x equals, y equals 180 degrees. Then I want to subtract my y. Subtract 72 from both sides. So I have y alone, so this goes away. So y is going to equal 108 degrees. Okay, so y is 108 degrees. Oh, look at that. I put that in the wrong spot. Let's see if I can move that. We'll see. Oh, fun. And we're going to move that down there. There we go. Okay, back to the pen. So if I have parallel lines, then consecutive interior angles add up to 180. And then I need to figure out what x is. Well, there's two things that we could say. Either we can say that x is going to be 72 degrees, because if parallel lines, what kind of angles are those? Those are alternate interior angles. Then alternate interior angles are congruent, or if you figured out 108 first, we could look at linear pair. Okay. All right, let's scroll down. All right, number 17 and 18. So I have A and B, we know are parallel, and I know that this transversal is coming in as being perpendicular. Okay, so X and Y, what are those going to be? Well, if this is perpendicular to A, and then it's also going to be perpendicular to B. Okay, so I know X is going to be 90 degrees, and Y is going to be 90 degrees. Okay, this is creating a 90-degree angle. And the reason of this is going to be if a transversal is perpendicular to one of two parallel lines, it is perpendicular to the other. Okay, and then if we look at Y, we can say that it's going to be the same. It could be the same idea, or you could say, okay, so we can say same, or that it's a linear pair. And linear pairs add up to 90. So then you'd have to show me 180 minus that. All right, and then the last one, let me change the color here. Okay, if these are parallel, what can we say? Well, we want to figure out X and Y, and Y might be a little bit easier right away. You can kind of see here's a location here on the right side of the transversal underneath. Oh, hey, and this is also the same location, just on the other line. So those are corresponding angles, so Y is also going to be 80 degrees. Oh, let me put that on the Y. Y is 80 degrees. And if we have parallel lines, then corresponding angles are congruent. Okay? And then I know that these two angles are vertical angles. They're also alternate interior angles. Okay, so we could say that if parallel lines I know then alternate interior angles are congruent. So if these are going to be the same, I'm going to set them equal to each other. So I have 5x minus 15, and that is going to equal 80. It is 80 degrees, but we have to find out specifically what x is. So let's add 15 to, oh, let's try that again. Add 15 to both sides. That goes away. So we're left with 5x equals 95. And then we need to divide by 5. So we're divided by 5, divided by 5. 95 divided by 5 is going to give me 19. So x is 19 and y is 80. All right. So again, I am going to save this and start the next page in our next video.